first read Pevsner's Buildings of England as a young architectural student in the swinging 60s.
30 years on, Janet Street Porter takes Pevsner's guide to North Yorkshire.
Quite simply, there's nowhere else like it in the whole of Britain.
The former architectural student compares notes with the Grand Master.
Who'd have thought that 30 years later I'd find myself in complete agreement with him about the North Riding of Yorkshire?
Travels with Pevsner, Saturday at 6:15 on BBC2.
A summary of the news now on BBC2 with Moira Stewart.
Good afternoon. The Prime Minister has confirmed that the general election will be held on May the 1st. Mr Major made the announcement after seeing the Queen at Buckingham Palace. He said the campaign would be tough but fun. The leaders of the other main parties welcomed the announcement and said they were looking forward to the fight.
After weeks of speculation, the formal announcement at last of the election date. The Prime Minister gave the details after seeing the Queen at Buckingham Palace and gave the impression of relishing the fight.
I'm looking forward to getting out of Whitehall and Westminster and campaigning in every part of the country and taking the message of what we've achieved and of our hopes and ambitions for this country out to people in every part of the United Kingdom.
The Labour leader was visiting a London school when the announcement came. He insisted a longer campaign would be better for getting his message across.
This campaign is going to be about the condition of Britain now and the future of Britain, that Britain can be better than this. And it'll be about how the Conservative Party have let people down, have broken their promises, and about how a new and revitalised Labour Party can get this country going.
The Liberal Democrats say they're well prepared for the campaign and insist they're the only ones offering genuine choice.
Choices, we believe, are quite clear for the British electorate. They are between promises you can't believe and clear, costed, realistic, targeted commitments about what we must do to face up to the challenges as this country enters the next century.
Everyone's now expecting not just the longest campaign in living memory, but the most bitterly fought.
Recorded crime in England and Wales has fallen for the 4th year in a row. But while overall crime fell by 1.3% last year, crimes of violence rose by 11%. It now accounts for 7% of all offences. The Home Secretary, Michael Howard, said crime was still too high, but overall the figures were encouraging. The nuclear waste agency NIREX has been refused permission to build an underground rock laboratory in West Cumbria. The Environment Secretary, John Gummer, has dismissed the project on visual and safety grounds.
This marks the end of a lengthy process for NIREX, the company charged with disposing of Britain's nuclear waste. It's spent the past 15 years and nearly £400 million testing for an underground site suitable for burying Britain's nuclear waste. Today's decision follows a lengthy public inquiry into the possibility of building a rock laboratory on a site near Sellafield in Cumbria. The idea was to then see if it was suitable for putting nuclear waste there. NIREX had looked at 12 possible sites. Sellafield was its preferred choice, close to the nuclear reprocessing plant, where 60% of Britain's nuclear waste is stored. Today's rejection will set its quest for a suitable dump back years. It will now have to look elsewhere and is deeply disappointed. But pressure groups, including Friends of the Earth and Greenpeace, are delighted.
The man who admitted killing the 54-year-old fashion designer Ozzie Clarke last year has been jailed for 6 years at the Old Bailey. Diego Cogolato pleaded guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. A former firefighter has received £200,000 in compensation for being sexually harassed at work. Tanya Clayton was employed by the Hereford and Worcester Fire Brigade. An industrial tribunal in 1994 decided that she had endured appalling discrimination which had left her a shadow of her former self. The Scottish Football Association has begun an inquiry into the violence during and after yesterday's match between Celtic and Rangers. 2 players were sent off, 8 others were booked, and at the final whistle, players had to be separated. More news at 5 to 4.
Good afternoon. Violent crime has increased in the southeast by 19%, almost double the national average. The biggest rise is in the Metropolitan Police area, where offences have gone up by 20%, closely followed by Kent at 19.7%. The national average is 11%. Essex and the Thames Valley saw an increase of around 7%. But in both Hertfordshire and Surrey, violent crime fell. Businesses will desert the capital unless the government spends more money on transport. That's the claim made by the group London First, which lobbies on behalf of businesses. It's launched a campaign aimed at getting all the political parties to pledge more money for the underground. Essex firefighters are being balloted on whether to hold a series of strikes. They're angry at plans to cut £1.5 million from the county's budget. Councillors say firefighters' jobs are safe, but union leaders claim a recruitment freeze will leave 50 posts unfilled by next year. That's it. Now the weather with Michael Fish.
Good afternoon to you. We have a taste of spring again in eastern parts of the country, but make the most of it. It's all going to change. But some brightness holding on in central and eastern areas of England. A lot of cloud in other parts. Little bits and pieces of rain and drizzle around as well, but it is quite warm in the east, up to 16 degrees at the moment. During this evening and tonight we will find the clouds spreading across, bringing that drizzly rain to just about all parts of the country, and then eventually, as far as Scotland and Northern Ireland are concerned, it will be replaced by clearer conditions and eventually by some showers. Temperatures dropping back as the clearer conditions come into the northwest. A pretty mild night though just about everywhere. England and Wales starts off rather dull and damp tomorrow, but brighter weather will come down during the course of the day, followed by 1 or 2 showers. Quite a breezy day in the northwest, a fair number of showers, and everywhere you're going to notice it feeling colder.
Save the King! Deborah Warner's landmark production of Shakespeare's Richard II, originally staged at the Royal National Theatre, now captured for television.
Mark King Richard, how he looks.
With Fiona Shaw in the leading role.
Let them die!
His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last.
By bad courses may be understood that their events can never fall out good.
Down, court! Down, king! For night owls shriek, but mounting lark should sing.
Richard II in performance Saturday at 10:15 on BBC2.
Back to this afternoon's film now on BBC2, and all is not running smoothly at the holiday camp.